This picture is a posterior view of male anatomy. Let's begin by thinking about the purpose of the male reproductive organs, which is to make and deliver sperm. Sperm's produced here in the testes. And this happens from cell divisions of a stem cell. Once made, sperm is then stored in the epididymis, which is kind of like this half wig that the testis is wearing there. And then sperm is transported by way of the vas or ductus deferens over the bladder and out through the external urethral orifice. Along the way, accessory organs contribute fluids and solutes to the interstitial fluids to create semen. And we have 3 organs over here. 1, 2, 3 are our accessory organs that create semen. The scrotum is essentially a fleshy pouch that contains the testes. It's divided into the right and left testis by a connective tissue septum called the raphe. The left testis usually hangs lower than the right, but I sincerely forget why that is right now. Sorry. From superficial to deep, the layers of the scrotum include the scrotal skin, which is the outermost covering. This skin has more sebaceous glands and is darkly pigmented and also has vellus or fine hair on it. The dartos muscle is just deep to the scrotal skin, and it contracts the skin to wrinkle it and reduce heat exchange. Then there's the scrotal fascia, which is just a connective tissue layer separating the dartos muscle from the cremaster muscle, which is deep to the dartos and just on top of the tunica vaginalis of the testis. The cremaster muscle pulls the testes and the entire spermatic cord closer to the body when it's cold. The spermatic cord is a significant anatomical structure that people often don't learn about until a class like this. It's this bundle of nerves, arteries, veins, and the ductus deferens. The spermatic cord punches through the abdominal wall and suspends the testes outside of the body into the scrotum. Inside the spermatic cord is the genitofemoral nerve, which includes both sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers. The sympathetic fibers cause ejaculation, come from the T10 to T11 levels of the spinal cord. And they direct vasomotion to regulate blood flow to the testes. Vascularizing the testes, the veins and arteries within that spermatic cord, they form something that's called the pampiniform plexus. This plexus regulates the temperature of the testes, which needs to be lower than body temperature at all times for correct sperm development. If the testes are held too close to the body, sperm may not develop properly. Specifically, the little tails may be impaired. How this pampiniform plexus works is as hot blood is entering in the arteries, it immediately gets shunted over to the vein. And therefore, the heat is transferred back by way of the veins, whereas that temperature moderated blood goes in to vascularize the testis and then joins all of that other blood with the heat on the way out. I also wanted to mention with this picture, this is the vas deferens right here. And I know that because of the incredibly thick layer of smooth muscle that is surrounding it. I don't really have a good picture of a mid-sagittal view of male reproductive anatomy, so I did the best I could in creating one. So here is the testis, right? We have our testis down here. And this right here, this is the pubic symphysis, right? So that's the bone right there. Take a look at the vas deferens and look at the circuitous route that it takes. The vas deferens extends from the testes up through the spermatic cord, anterior to the pubic symphysis. Oh, anterior. And then up and over the bladder to the posterior wall of the bladder, and now below the pubic symphysis to hook up with the urethras that are in the penis. That's a long route. Why doesn't it just go bloop from testis to penis right away? Because it just doesn't. The urethra is divided into different sections. First, there's a section that's called the ejaculatory duct, and that's where the ductus deferens joins with structures near the urinary bladder. So, and I'm sorry, let me just highlight that. The ejaculatory duct is like right here. The prostatic urethra is obviously the part of this vas deferens and ejaculatory duct that traverses through the prostate. Then, after the prostatic urethra, we'll highlight all of these. Here's our prostatic urethra. After that, we get to the membranous urethra, which is just this area here that contains that little accessory organ. And then the membranous urethra finally hooks up with the spongy urethra, which is what surrounds the urethra, carrying both ejaculatory substances and urine. There's a structure called the Goobernaculum that I just wanted to mention because I think that's a great word. No, I'm kidding. There's a structure called the Goobernaculum, and it's a connective tissue anchor that secures the testes to the abdominal pelvic cavity floor. The Goobernaculum passes between the internal and the external oblique, and then it enters the inguinal canal, which is anterior to the pubic symphysis. At 6 weeks, the testes start descending as the structures in the spermatic cord lengthen. At month 7, the testes will pass through the inguinal canal and the spermatic cord will develop from that tissue of the internal oblique. Undescended testes, which is more common than you think, is called cryptorchidism.